Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, your number one stop for stellar reviews of volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Take a seat, get yourselves and your opinions ready, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, and Scott, as they kick off this week's discussion.
Hello, and welcome to what is sure to be another fantastic episode of the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. It's a special one, I suppose, really, because this is the last of our picks for Season 2. It's coming to a close. One more episode to go, and then we reset again to Season 3. Excellent. Wait. Yes, so I'm your host this evening. My name is Phil, if you do not already know, and I am joined by my handsome cohorts, my handsome whatever. We've got Shane.
Ahoy, hoy.
And we have Scott.
Hello.
And as I mentioned, for this week we have read, and we will be discussing The Magic Order. And that was written by Mark Millar, art by Olivier Coipel, colours by Dave Stewart, and letters by Peter Doherty. And yeah, it's a very special book for me, guys. So, you know, if I get in the defensive tonight, don't at me. Basically, this is one of the very first books I ever put in my pull list, and it's stuck with me for these years. So be kind. That's your warning tonight.
Oh, is this like my 7 secrets? You know, is that what this is like?
Yes and no. I mean,
I'm not comparing it to 7 Secrets, but that kind of vibe, you know.
It's not 7 Secrets, but that vibe, because yes, this is the book that kind of kept me into the hobby, because I could have easily left it. So the fact that we're all here tonight discussing this book, that's because it was good for me. I loved it. But yeah, before I get into a synopsis of the book, I'll just check who is in the chat. We have James Copley. He's saying hi. We have Sonic's Comics. Evening, guys. We have, oh my god, hi, it's Connie.
Oh my god.
And we have This Week Metropolis. Could be James, could be Matt, could be both. Saying, hey guys, hope you're all well. So yeah, The Magic Order. And actually, before we actually get into this, this reminded me of my favorite ever dad joke. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah,
Always.
Of course we'll start off with a joke.
So, what do you call a magician that's lost its magic?
I don't know, Phil.
Ian. Oh, and that is brilliant. That's just pure comedy. Forget the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. We are doing Nerd Herd comedy nights. This is it.
Open mic stand up. Everyone's invited.
Lewis Deacon, he is late, but he is here. He said howdy. And Connie said, you've got to get a page sent, but I read this a while ago. If you still have a page, there's time to send it.
This time, check it over and I can do it.
Yeah. So, The Magic Order, as I said, it was sold to me as Godfather meets Harry Potter, and that kind of is what it's like. Yeah. You've got you get the magic, you've got the families that make up the Magic Order. Essentially, what the Order is, it's a group of magicians who are there to protect humanity from scary monsters and beings and so forth, and have done it for centuries. And we follow the Moonstone family with the head of the family called Leonard, and they are kind of being picked off one by one by a rival former member of the Magic Order. Various hits and kills, and they're trying to take over and have the Order for themselves so they can get hold of this, I can't think of what it's called, but a magic book of spells, I assume, and they can take control.
The Orchalcum? The Orc?
Yeah, I have it written. I actually have it written down myself, but I don't think I want to attempt it and embarrass myself like you just did, Shane.
The Orichalcum.
Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, this was, like I say, one of the first books I ever had onto a pull list, and it's 4 years and 3,000 odd books later, it's stuck with me. And yeah, I've been meaning to share this with you guys for a long time, because I think there's elements that Shane you would definitely love. It's a really good female character. And Scott, you love fantasy elements, so I think there's enough in it for you guys. So let's see what you think. Well, I'm trying to think who we'll start with. Who's going to be more gentle? I'll rip the band-aid off. Shane, what do you think?
Ooh.
I have just one question for you, Phil. Why the bloody hell did you wait so long to put this on the Nerd Herd? I love this. This was amazing.
Yeah.
From start to finish, I fell in love with everyone. I couldn't put it down. I read it in one go. I had to just keep going. I wanted to know what was going to happen. It's gorgeous to look at. It's well written. The pace is great. The characters are awesome. The magic is fantastic. There's gore, there's blood, there's sex, there's everything you want in a comic book. And I loved it.
Wow. I think Shane was the one I was worried about the most. Especially when he sent us pictures in the private chat about these weird facial expressions.
Yeah.
I was in panic mode. Look, I'm going to have to go into the defensive tonight, guys. Glenn is here. Saying hi, Shane, Scott, Phil. How are you doing?
Hello, Glenn.
So, Scott, thoughts initially?
My thoughts. So, right, don't at me, right, because I've not seen The Godfather. But
you can most certainly at Scott for not seeing The Godfather.
But listen, so I understand the comparison, but when I was leaving work today, I was like, I'm doing the Nerd Herd tonight. To my colleague, I was like, I think you'll like this one. And he goes, okay, well, what's it like? And I was like, do you like magic? And he goes, not really. And I was like, well, I know you like The Boys, so this is kind of like Harry Potter meets The Boys-ish. And he was like, okay, I'll give it a go. So that was kind of my comparison to it. But yeah, before I came up, speaking to Amy, and she was like, what did you think of the book? And I was like, I want more. That was literally what I said. I was like, this was fantastic. Like, yes, Phil, you nailed it. I love the fantasy element of stuff. I love grown-up magic. Like, I never got on with the Harry Potter films because it was like, oh, let's go to class, let's learn a spell, oh, cool. And then, like, I couldn't get on with those. But then I love the Fantastic Beasts series because it's all about grown-ups who know all the cool spells doing cool stuff. So this is right up my street. This is everyone knowing the great magic straight away, and we're just seeing the best of the best doing the best they can do with the situations they're in. And it's so good. It's moody, it's adult, and it feels realistic in a way of, like, it touches on, like, sexual things, but it's not, like, crude, it's not gross, it's not, trying to be funny.
Saga.
It's like these are it feels like real people problems that are going on in this, talking about the divorces and I can't remember his name now, having to bury his child, Gabriel trying to bury his child and stuff like that. And I just loved it. It was so just mature, but in a really good way, and not trying too hard. It just felt natural and brilliant.
See, you touched on a few things there about the magic, and that's one thing I've written down. We'll discuss it more in depth later. The magic definitely felt like, obviously it's fantasy, it's magic, but I felt like if magic is real, and maybe it is, we just don't know, this would be it.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like this would be it.
Totally
this kind of magic. Like, it's not the kind of novelty aspect that maybe Harry Potter used. It's definitely more mature. And there was a lot of moments in each issue that you could really talk about, in my opinion. And this is why, like I say, it's always stuck with me. Triple G Comics has entered the chat. Evening, chaps. Hi, Pete. So, I mean, the art is Olivier Coipel, and he's quite a well-known artiste. What did you think overall? Shane, you kind of touched on the art and how wonderful it was. Like,
gorgeous.
For me, it kind of suits the mood as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of dark stuff, and it kind of set the tone, obviously, with the story. Like, they matched almost.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the character designs, like, they were so especially Madame Albany, like her design, like the gimp mask, or I don't want to say gimp mask, it's like the Midnighter mask, but then I already said gimp mask and now I've said it again, but it's the Midnighter mask. Like the full face covering. Like, that was a really cool design for the bad guy.
Yeah. To be fair, the mask did throw me initially. It's like they could have done anything else. They could have just given her like eyes and like an eye mask, but they went for the whole full shiny head.
They didn't even have to give a mask. They all knew who she was. She
Yeah,
wasn't hiding her identity, so it was a really weird thing to add.
Yeah, and
I think it's just something to throw us, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
Well, it did make me then think, like, oh, maybe this is Cornelia. Maybe she's like split personality and it's two people. And I thought maybe she's the bad guy and we're not meant to know, because why else would there be a mask? But no, never mind.
So we'll get into our pages and stuff a little bit later on, but I do want to ask you about the art. So the story about the art as well. I mentioned last week, I think after the show last week, that there's a particular page at the very start that may shock a lot of people. Were you guys shocked at the first page? Or the second page?
Yes.
I have it here in case our viewers want to see what we are talking about. Just bear with. Yeah, trigger warning. This is, it's dark. Yeah. So essentially what has happened here is this is the first hit. So Madame Albany and her henchmen. This is the
Venetian.
The Venetian. Is this the shapeshifter guy at the start? Though, this is Cornwall, isn't it? Or is this the Venetian?
Yeah, with the Venetian. Yeah.
Yeah. So he obviously wants to kill the first hit, but they're protected by magic in the house. He says, "Don't worry, I can get in." So he kind of goes in the boy, his young son, just creeping in the bed, and then just stabs him through the bottom of the jaw, through the head. It was really grim, and like that's a way to start a story. Like the impact that has on somebody.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. I think the next page was even more like chilling though, when he turns to his mother and just goes.
Yes. I have that too. Because that is
so bloody creepy.
That is scary. That is definitely. His eyes are black. She's obviously unaware what happened, and he's just sitting there going, "Shh." Yeah. Set the tone for me in terms of what to expect with this. I thought it was great.
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts on the art before we go into our pages?
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. Like, there's not much else to say. Like, I know Shane had this funny thing with the faces.
Oh, I found 3. I just found 3 dodgy faces in the entire book, and I sent them as a joke just to wind Phil up.
But yeah, all of it was stunning. Like, sometimes when you have fantasy style books, you kind of get artists who are better at drawing creature and monster faces and stuff like that, and when it gets to them drawing human faces, you're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have done that, and you just should have stayed with the stuff that isn't real, and I can't compare it to anything. But I've never heard of this artist. What was his name again? Let me just get it up there. Olivier Coipel. He's on my watch list now, but stunning, awesome, amazing. And you can't have a magic book without fantastic art. It wouldn't have been the book that it is without fantastic art. And that's all that it was. And I just loved every page, loved every panel. Brilliant.
Would you be sad to hear then that he is not on the second book?
Oh,
it is.
what?
No, but it's still good. It's Stuart Eminem, I think you pronounce his name.
Eminem.
Yeah, so yeah, I was disappointed, to be fair, with the second, and the fact he wasn't on it. Sorry, I hadn't read the second volume myself. But with this book, as well, this came out in 2018. Volume 2 just came out at the end of 21 and finished just earlier this year, and we're now into Volume 3. It was delayed for so long, that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to put it on the Nerd Herd. I wanted to wait until I knew what was happening. This was also optioned by Netflix. This is the first. So Netflix bought Millar World, which is Mark Millar's imprint, and they have all the rights to all his stuff. And this was meant to be in production, but then with the COVID the pandemic and so on, they've stopped that. But I read recently they've picked it back up again. So this
No.
Yes.
this will
Netflix will
become
ruin it.
a Netflix show.
This will become a mediocre show. So read the book, don't watch the show.
I agree, and it's the first one because I was thinking comparisons to Lock and Key, because I know, like, Scott, you love Lock and Key, and I remember
Love
Adam
Lock and
from
Key.
Comic Bound loves Lock and Key, and they always said like the TV show does not have the same tone
I
as
didn't
the book.
get past episode 1.
Yeah. So, with regards to the Netflix series for this, if it doesn't match the tone, if it doesn't have the same kind of hook, I
Vibe.
suppose,
Yeah,
vibe,
yeah.
I'm not going to be interested at all.
No.
I will be
No,
that
they're not gonna-
kind of comic book snob. I will not watch an adaptation if it's not on
You
point.
don't want
Well, they're not
it
going to make
to-
it an 18, are they?
They better.
Well, they won't, because they'll want eyes on it, and so they're going to cut out everything that makes this book good, and it's just going to be your bog standard, like, terrible magic series.
Yeah.
If you want a grown-up magic show, watch The Magicians. Very good show.
I do want to watch that.
It's a great show.
Before we go on to pages, even though I'm singing the praises of the art, I do have one little nitpicky bit, which I'm glad I was able to notice. It was when they were action scenes, the panels that went, between each movement, I guess, seemed, I don't know, it seemed there was too much movement between panels, and I was struggling to kind of figure out, what the movement should have been to get to that point that we're seeing in the next
I think
panel.
it was quite jumpy. Is that,
Yeah.
yeah. That's fair. 'Cause I thought that myself too. At some panels, it did kind of jump from one to the other. It's like, well, how did you get to that stage?
Yeah.
I do remember lingering on one page because of that. I didn't really notice it as much. Like, it was one page where I just did have to go like, but now you've mentioned it, I realize why I lingered now. I wasn't too sure why I was lingering. It must be because my brain couldn't connect the dots.
Yeah, you're just wondering, like, this art is so good. How can there be a fault
Yeah.
at all?
I know.
Yeah, so I was just looking.
Can I ask a question as well? I want your personal opinion, I guess. What was your favourite magic drawn in this?
You're actually demonstrating it now, Scott, because you're actually quite pixelated because your internet's pretty poor this evening. It was the part when it was like the changing spell, where there was that one of the magicians was helping like a guy and his grandmother who was ill, I think, and it's like, oh no, there's a changing spell. Next thing, like the floor and the bed started kind of like just changing. All of a sudden, they were just gone. There was like a new family there, and I thought that was great. That was my favorite one, I think.
I did wish that just lasted a couple more pages, just so that we could see the change. I wanted us to notice the change before he does. Like if we had seen the room, and then in the next panel, there's a few things different, and just for us to look back and go, oh yeah, the clock's different now, and that's different.
Yeah.
But we couldn't see anything that he was talking about. So that's my tiny little gripe.
Yeah.
Right.
But that was a very cool spell, the way they just disappeared.
Yeah.
It's quite terrifying as well. Like they were conscious of it.
What was your Scott?
Yeah. For me, it was the one where the other brother, Gabriel's brother, kind of created
Regan.
like this. Yeah, kind of created this watery portal to walk into, to then go to the massive castle painting to walk through that. I just loved how fluid it looked, because it is literally fluid.
Water.
But I loved it. It looked fantastic. I mean, they nailed it on the head. If I'm saying I like how fluid it is, yeah. But that was it for me. It was simple, but it just looked great.
I actually think the other one that was even more simple was the Soul camera. They took a picture of the guy, and next thing he's locked in a Polaroid. And yeah, again, it's just things like this as we maybe really appreciate the book. Like, they are simple, but they're mature ways of like, if you're going to be a magician hitman, this is what you're going to do. I thought it was great. Folks, I have been the best host. I completely forgot to remind you guys who are live in the chat this evening that we will be doing Third Choice for next week. And it's down to you guys in the chat to recommend your pick. So that'll be towards the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. But back to the main event. And I don't just mean me. Shall we move on to our pages?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I've already showed 2 of mine. I have another 2 to do. So we'll just we'll go with Scott.
Oh man, I love this page. This was so like atmospheric. Let's see, how do I explain this to the podcast listeners? This was like issue 4, I think, where Gabriel is running out because something is happening, and he sees the hologurium or something like that.
Yeah.
Hologium.
the
Hologoblin.
Hologium, time eater.
Yeah. But oh my god, it's like this massive, giant, shadowy monster that's just like, it looks like 100 foot tall in the sky, and he's carrying this giant lantern around, and he looks like he's walking on like 4 or 6 legs. And it's just, I just loved, turning that page, seeing this, and it was just the sheer like awesomeness and the atmosphere of that whole image.
Yeah.
Even though you see in the back of Gabriel, you kind of know he's just going, ah, shit.
Yeah.
And I got that reaction, and that's brilliant. I mean, I just love the atmosphere of this whole thing.
Do you know what I loved about it as well? Or maybe think about this. So obviously we read Something is Killing the Children, and we had said before about how
Yes.
pure the kind of monster was.
Yeah.
Like, if they had just kind of put this level of detail and texture on their monster, that book would be so much better. I just think, like, again, this monster doesn't, or well, whatever it's called, it doesn't need to have that level of detail that it does.
No.
The fact that it does, it's brilliant, and I think
So
it's really good.
Yeah, it literally could have been a smoke monster. If all it does is eat time from you, if it touches you, it could have just been a ball of smoke. But no, I mean, I love his face. He looks like he's looking down at Gabriel as well. It's like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
it is.
Okay, just bear with. Yeah, and Shane, you picked a page that I was also considering, so we'll go with this.
Yes, it's the first time Madame Albany shows up with her boys in tow, and it just looks so cool. Like, how badass is that? She's just appears in this magic like bubble, or like whatever that cloud of magic is, and she's just standing in front of her peeps like, what's up, I'm here. And she just looks so sinister, but also so feminine and delicate at the same time. It's weird. I really like her character design in this.
Yeah, she's really cool.
It's
What I
just
like
so
about this is,
controlled, like where she's just holding the wand straight in front of her like that, and it's just, yeah, really controlled, really cool. Sorry, Phil.
what I noticed too is, like, obviously these guys have been around for centuries, and obviously the order passes down from the children to their children. So you got a guy wearing the top hat, another guy wearing a nice fancy bowler kind of hat. Then you have like the two youngsters, in like modern
In
day
hoodies.
clothing. Yeah, like, it's just like there's like a good like mix of people, and I think the fact that this order or even the renegades could last centuries, like they're going to have different folks and dress in different ways. I just think that's really cool as well.
Yeah.
Connie was on the ball. She got an image in. She sent it to Scott. Scott's
did.
uploaded it. Here it is. Oh, that's
That's yes,
the
right
end
after
of-
the room changes.
Yeah, end of the first issue. Really concise description to why she likes it. Spooky AF. It's
it
so
is.
creepy. It's the end of issue 1 where they've done the changing spell, and these people have now just been created into this life that they're just chilling out on the settee watching telly, and then the Venetian is just standing right behind them, and they have no idea. And yeah, it is just creepy.
You can still see like the spark of magic on his wand as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but yeah.
He looks like the Grim Reaper because it looks like a scythe.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. 10 points too, mate. That was good. Good spot there.
10 points to Gryffindor.
Did you say 10? That's 2 10s. There we go. Top of the leaderboard. Cemented tonight. Kev also sent in a page.
Yeah, Kevin. So this is the end of issue 3. Kev says, "This is my page pick for tonight. I really like how Olivier Coipel draws character faces and gestures.
Yeah.
So he's in this just for the faces, and they are brilliant in that page.
It's
It
good to
is.
bring up the faces, because that's one of the reasons why I also selected this page, because we say time and time again that a lot of faces look the same.
Yeah,
Not a single one of them look the same,
no way.
Not at all.
and they all look really good. Like, they all look really good. every one of them.
Gorgeous. I just love the eyes on Madam at Albany when she realizes that
Yeah.
she's messed up. She's like,
such
"Oh,
a cool move. Oh, I loved it.
She's like, "Oh, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Damn."
Yeah, it's so cool.
Brilliant
But
twist.
the page I actually picked for myself initially, so again, this is my 4th page. I'm showing it's the last one, I promise. It's,
We could just show the whole book if you want. Let's spend the next
yeah.
25
Just flick
minutes
through,
showing
yeah.
every page.
It looks that good, we could. But so Uncle Edgar was a nice character, wasn't he?
What a lovely
Awesome.
guy.
Was
Calm,
a lovely,
chill.
unassuming guy, right?
Yeah.
And look at this image; like he is really calm and unassuming. But like obviously, the next page literally he erupts,
He
and
looks so
I just
small there.
that's why I think I picked it, because you know what's going to happen now. You know he's
Yeah.
about to implode on this guy, and there's a few wee sparks behind him. You can see there too.
Yeah.
And again, this quiet, unassuming, elderly gentleman who wouldn't think would hurt a fly is about to potentially take down the whole world. And I just thought that panel of him just there, standing there, like really nice and calm. It's like,
For
what
me-
a stone cold killer.
For me, this whole scene kept reminding me of like when you watch the first Avengers and Mark Ruffalo is like, "I'm always angry," and then turns into the Hulk. When you get the bit in this scene and it's like, this house isn't protecting me from the world; it's protecting the world from me.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically
So
he was
bloody
basically saying to him, "I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of us isn't walking out of here. And it was awesome because that
Yeah.
shapeshifter was so cocky. I'm so glad he got his.
Yeah. So good.
And very
That's-
pervy, wasn't he? He when he turns into Madam Albany, so they can.
I really liked that page though, because she basically says she wanted that, but give me something I'm going to enjoy. It's like, well, here's yourself. Enjoy
It
that.
just shows how vain she is, doesn't it?
That was great. But yeah, that's our pages. I think obviously across the board we all really, really enjoyed the art. So more of that, please.
Lovely. Thank you.
I've been terrible with comments here tonight, folks. I do apologise. Connie has given us some info. Olivier Coipel worked on The Road to El Dorado and The Prince of Egypt. Are they movies or comics? Never read any of those.
I'll have to find them.
Prince of Egypt is a movie.
Good choice.
Oh, could be. I read the trailer of this book maybe like 2 months after getting the comics, and it was one of the first comics I had to stop and gasp a little about the way the story was going. That's the same for me. Like I say, so in the first books I started collected in single issues from the start, and again, if it had a failed, I may not be in the comic book hobby, but that it kept me going, and it hooked me, and it's always stuck with me for the 4 years, and I'm
Connie
so glad I read
is
it.
the reason that I was even aware of this book. I saw it on her Instagram that how shocked she was at the ending, and that has always stuck with me whenever I see anything to do with this book. And it didn't disappoint. I thought it would have spoiled something for me, but no way. It was awesome.
I've seen Connie's Goodreads score, so at least I'm off to a good start tonight.
Great.
She's also she is sad that Olivier Coipel is not doing the art for Magic Order 2. Yeah, it is sad, but it's Stuart Eminem, and he is worthy. Just may not be as nice, but still looks good.
I'll give it a check, but if it's not as nice, then I don't know. I probably will read on because I like the characters, as long as it's the same writer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's volume 2. That's next year. That's next season. It's volume
Done.
1.
Tick.
Yeah. So what do we think of the kind of overall story and writing style? I think, me personally, I think Mark Millar is quite direct in terms of how to put this. Like, he's building a world, but it's not a massive world and it never ever lands somewhere else. It's like a world in our world, obviously, because like the Moonstone Castle was through an oil painting, I think it was, wasn't it? And then they had the kind of what's it called? The Black Kingdom for the Renegades was through a crack in the asylum wall. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? So he's building things that are a bit like fantasy based, but he's not going too mad with it.
Yeah.
No,
And
but
it's-
he's not limited himself. I mean, that hotel where they go to eat
Oh yeah, the Abington Hotel, I think it was called.
every second of every time.
Yeah.
So
That was
they
my
could do
favourite thing.
so many stories. They could just go there. They could do a whole series just called The Hotel, you know, and it's just set with different magicians that throughout different times. It'll be
It's also the same hotel that John Wick uses because they can't kill each other or fight each other. So,
no, they can't even raise their voices in there.
So good. Anything time travel related, definitely a big tick in my book. And just to play with the thought that all of these people were from different times, but it was all exactly the same place, and this place was connected to every point in time ever. And you know, they had to keep to the same table. They couldn't speak to people from other times. They couldn't, raise their voices. It was such an exclusive thing. And it was just so cool, and you had to leave through the same door you came in with, and it was just so cool. And really, really liked that, just purely because it was just tickled my time traveling fancy there. Loved it.
Yeah,
And
such a clever idea.
Madame Albany even toasted, didn't she? Her father,
Yeah,
whatever time period he was coming from at that point.
yeah,
Well, she did say like maybe this is the moment he saw it in me, and like he turned against me.
Yes,
oh,
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, that could have been the moment he saw it in my eyes. Like, yeah, I was like, how crazy.
Yeah, but again, it's even taking things out like, fighting Nazis. Like, obviously, World War II, for example, if the Magic Order were there at this time, they would have to have their own fights of some sort, and that's what they were doing. We just don't know because we don't know anything about magic. Do you know what I mean? I was like,
Cordelia going back and nicking the car was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was great.
I actually have a big section on Cordelia because I mean I could be wrong, Shane. Obviously, I think you obviously like Madame Albany, but you must have loved Cordelia.
Cordelia is 100% my favorite character in this book. She's amazing, and that twist at the end just. If I was a cartoon dog, my eyes would have bulged out, my tongue would have rolled out. I was just like, "Awooga, you go, girl!" That was amazing. I loved it. It was just that moment, where she's on her own, and you just think, "This is it." Like it's a one-shot book. That everyone's going to die. You don't have to save anyone. She's on her own. What's she going to do against them? She's only an escapologist. I was like, oh, maybe she'll be able to escape, but what's she going to do? And she just turns the tables, and I was just like, yes. I loved it. It was amazing.
Like for me, in that, like I knew Mark Millar has got this deal signed with Netflix, and I was thinking of this scene, how cool would it be to see this on TV? And for me, all I had in the background of my head was just the kind of music that would be playing when that moment happens, the kind of like epic build up of this whole thing. And I was just getting excited just reading that and just thinking about how the music would impact there. This was like, you turn the page, you see what she's doing, and you see the whole family come back, and I'm like, yes, let's go, let's see what happens, this is awesome. And like the picture that Phil shown, Albany, just, you can see it in her eyes, she's like, oh crap. Here we go.
Messed up.
It was so good.
What I thought was really interesting too is that over 80 plus years of comic books, obviously longer as well, I suppose, she probably has the most interesting origin story I've ever read. Anything.
How she escaped her own abortion.
Yeah.
She escapes her abortion, removes herself and the placenta, and then puts it in another woman.
A nurse.
Yeah, and then she has to carry it for 4 months and is just born. Like it's just like that's like as an idea, that's it's like so bizarre, but like it was done so quickly as well. Like it was nothing. Like just one page. It was brilliant. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, there are a lot of like deeper, darker moments. I mean, I know it's not really comedic. That's meant to be quite serious. If they're talking about abortions and then forcing a pregnancy on a woman who then goes crazy after she gives birth. So it's not meant to be fun. you know, and then later on you find out they have the allegory for, you know, not locking up your gun, and the daughter finds the wand and kills her and her friends with the wand, which is obviously gun safety. So there is a lot of serious tones and messages in this book. They're not shy about it, but they're also not in your face with the messaging. The book is designed to entertain you. This book is designed to keep your attention, get you buying the next issue, and just give you a really good time in your book. Just let you have a fun time reading. And you don't have that. When you're reading a superhero book, you always know the superhero is going to be fine because it's their book. When you're reading an indie book, you never know what's going to happen. And when they start killing characters off every issue, you really don't know what's going to happen. And your excitement level just goes up and up and up when you don't know who's safe.
It wasn't even killing characters every issue. It was killing characters every page at one point.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, okay, right, okay, they're gone. Cool. All right, they're gone. And, you know, it was so cool, so creative on how it would happen. You know, you'd have the camera, you know, that would take their soul and then they would just disappear from the real world and would be in this Polaroid.
No, we've lost Scott.
Oh, we've lost Scott. While we wait for Scott to come back, I have a question for you, Phil.
Yes.
When did you figure out, what issue did you figure out Gabriel was the Venetian?
To be fair, I can't remember. I don't think I found out until the end. I think it was more whenever, like, you know, the few pages before where he's like, she's on her own and they're going down. Like, you knew at that point something's not right. But I didn't really think before that Gabriel was the traitor, because I've written down here that they built him up so much to be almost he's going to be the hero. He's the main guy. He's the better magician of them all. He has this story that makes you really care about him even before you realize what he's trying to do to bring his daughter back. So they build him up this level, and then, you know, turn him, which was really good. And the way he done it, like, he didn't hesitate to shoot his brother in the head.
No,
It was half a second, he was done. But again, they brought it back around. That obviously they can all come back to life with this spell. And
but not him.
Yeah, but obviously he had to sacrifice himself for his daughter, and I thought that was wonderful for him. In fact, the dad as well obviously felt emotional. It's like, I never really realized until now to know how you felt, and I know how you felt. I thought it was great. But yeah,
Scott, when did you figure out that Gabriel was the Venetian? What issue? Scott, can you hear me? Scott can't hear?
no.
Okay. Well, I figured it out in issue 3 when his brother was in the car talking to him. When his brother was talking to him in the car, and he kept saying how, like, you're the best of us all, you're the strongest of us all. I was like, oh my God, he's the Venetian and he's doing it all because his daughter's dead. I was like, no. And I was like, and then when the Time Eater was attacking his wife, I was like, well, this is a cover so that everyone, you know, this is his reason to get back into the magic order with them. I was like, no, that's a shame. But yeah, issue 3 was for me.
I suppose for the first time reader, it was the scene, I think it must have been issue 4, could be issue 5, where the other kind of what do you call them, the gang, the renegades, are holding somebody in a coffee shop, which obviously turned out to be Gabriel's wife. And you know something fishy's going on. I think from that point it was building up. But again, it's like one of those things that I didn't want to believe it, because they built Gabriel up so much to be the hero. Like, he's the Jon Snow of Game of Thrones. He's the big, he's the Targaryen. And then, just like Game of Thrones, they took it away from us, you know. But yeah,
A twist.
Yeah,
That's a good thing, though. That's a good thing about a twist. You shouldn't really see it coming, but then you should be able to go back and realize. So I think they did that really well. But it was issue 3 for me when I realized that he was the Venetian, and I had no worry about him up against the Time Eater.
Is that the bit I missed? Is that the bit we're talking about?
I
When did you realise?
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't until the very moment that it's told.
He blew his brother's head off.
Yeah, well, even then, I was in disbelief. I was like, what the hell? Like, I thought, like, maybe he was being controlled, because we saw that from the Venetian at the start. And I was like, maybe he's being controlled again. But then it slowly dawned on me that he is the Venetian. And I was like, oh, the whole room just goes, whoosh, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare, with us being in such a world where watching so much TV, so many films, reading so many comics and reading books, it's hard for people to be surprised by twists like this. So, that's what adds points on for me even more, the fact that I was so impacted and shocked and in disbelief by this twist. Yeah, it's just a book that I can just I get it now. Phil said this book stuck with him for 4 years. This will stick with me for 4 years and even more than that.
Yeah.
And I'm getting the next one.
Excellent.
I'm getting this. I'm getting the single issues for this, or the trade. I'm going to find it in physical form because I want to own this.
Yeah, same.
Mark Miller can send me some commission because I've done it. Excellent. The thing is, as well, like the idea of this order is here to protect humanity from monsters and whatever else. This story could have been done so much differently, but I'm so glad it wasn't. Like they could have had the monster story about the order protecting humans and have a big monster coming through the barrier or something, whatever, and that would have been so dull. Like this was a lot more. What's the word? Like it just kept you, interested. Like
a story is always so much more interesting when there's just people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When it's just people involved, everyone loves
people
a drama.
are the biggest monsters.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did show one of the monsters, of course, quite early on. It was a flashback, wasn't it?
Oh yes.
Must have been Cordelia. I think it was the child, but they showed the monster and it existed, but he didn't. Again, that's not what the story was about, which I really really enjoyed. We kind of touched on the magic. I've written quite a few of my favourites down. I've already talked about the changing spell, Cordelia escaping the abortion, the soul camera, even like fill her up when we just filled the taxi cab with water.
Yeah.
As simple as that is, like the fact that the water wasn't leaking, no one could break in the car, and it's just like that's it's a really painful way to die. The fact that you can't escape this little tiny car, and again, it's just the way he makes it simple, but like scary almost, or almost kind of you obviously you panic. The person was panicking. Edith was her name, the librarian.
Yeah.
The guy through the mirror, to be fair, was probably the weakest one, where he just he appeared at the mirror and he's pulled them through.
Yeah,
that was okay, but the weakest of them. We mentioned the guy who eats time, but what I really liked is the book. Like, so whenever they're questioning the driver of,
they take him into the island of Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah, and
that's my note as well.
It's just the fact that it's really simple. It sounds really simple when you think about it, but it's clever to actually do it and do it well. And even at the end, whenever they picked up Gabriel's wife, they put her in Crime and Punishment. I just thought that was really clever too.
I just think the way they did it. Sorry, go on, Scott.
It's how that whole scene started for me. It's when they saw the car coming down the road and he flips it. And you see the panel where the car is just in bits. The guy driving it is flung out the car. And then the next page, they're in the car. I'm like, what? And then, when you read what's happening, they've gone back a minute back in time, haven't they? So he's got this time to get the answer out of him. Mm-hmm. And then it goes into the book. And I just loved the way that started. And just for that whole thing, and I was hooked. I was like, what the hell? Like, what can this magic do? Like, what can't they do?
The book magic was amazing. Dropping him off on page, what was it, like page 10, and then coming back to page like 50 to see how he's doing. And he's been there for years, and he's like all like decaying and he's starving. Yeah. And then they take him to the Isle of Dr. Moreau for medical treatment. I was like, oh, you bastards. That's so mean. So good. So good.
Yeah. Fantastic, the whole thing.
Again, I think just the magic overall, we were quite impressed with, because again, it's something that can go horribly wrong in a book, in a comic book, and we've seen it many times with magic. So, we do enjoy it all the time. The times we have seen it where it's not great, and this for me was good. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of run out of things to ask. Or
To
actually,
praise.
one question I do want to ask. Sorry, yes, praise is the right word. So quite often, whenever we're doing books, and sometimes you can tell that books are written. They're written for TV shows.
Yeah.
And this probably was written to become a TV show, as opposed to the other way around, or a comic book first, then TV show. Did that spoil it for you at all? The fact that, like, did it feel like it was written for TV? For me, it
No.
didn't.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I didn't get that feeling at all. You can feel it with books. I mean, some of them, they even like model the characters on actors, don't they? Like with Witchblade we did. Like there were a
Yeah.
couple of the character designs in there that were blatant actors. I think I even posted them on my Instagram. They were one-for-one shots. And that felt like that was designed to be a pilot, then episode 2, then episode 3, and episode 4. This felt like it was just meant to be a story to just get you interested in this universe and hope it gets enough people in so it can expand the universe and carry it on. And I hope it's done that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I have another thing I'd like to talk about. Just the fact that they kind of shown us so many different types of like walks of life in this. You know, it wasn't just the people from the Order. You know, these people who are magic aren't fancy or rich. You know, there's no one type of magic person. You know, you had the homeless guy who was sucking out the sex energy from these people, and then but then it just goes straight away into this the normal couple. You know, the guy who gets sucked in through the mirror. You have like the normal couple in like an apartment. You've got the UPS delivery guy. You've got the woman who was in the taxi, and you've got all these different fantastic. It's not just all these people are exactly the same type of people. It's not like going to Hogwarts and everyone's in that school. Cool, great. You know, all these people have all these. You know, they have their lives, and it's so great, and it was so like, it felt detailed. But
It's like, sorry, just on that note, it's like they could have. They're obviously magicians. They could have all be rich, live in big fancy houses.
do what they want.
But they're doing kind of normal, mundane jobs. It's almost like the Spider-Man complex: great power, great responsibility. So their main kind of thing is the Order, and even Leonard. I think he said he keeps in his magic show so many nights a year. Doesn't make a lot of money, but he does it because that's his thing.
5 nights a week, 40 weeks a year.
40 weeks.
Yeah, that's what he said. But yeah, there was so much cool magic. It was all so versatile and unique and different and stuff I've never seen before or even thought of, and it was just brilliant. But then I do have an issue with the world building, and the fact that it was quickly paced. And I don't want to. I'm not saying the story was quickly paced. The story itself was, in my opinion, perfectly paced. I was really happy with how it went. But it was just the world building. We're seeing scenes like we saw that room with all the artifacts with that guy who had the Playboy magazine out by accident. You know, we saw 1 page of that room, and I would love to have seen more. We saw like 1 or 2 pages of the Time restaurant. You know, I would like to have seen that a bit more. All of these, you know, I don't know if Mark Millar had, you know, if he knew there was going to be a book 2 or 3, and maybe he was trying to like, right, I want to put all this cool stuff in the book, but maybe not give it a lot of time. And I was a bit gutted, and that kind of stuff was too quickly paced. But I'm not saying the story is quickly paced. Do you understand?
No, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like this, like flew by those things quite quickly.
Yeah.
Like the guy
I think that goes with
someone's going to the fault, something's missing, and that's it. You know.
Yeah, but I think that goes with what Scott was saying earlier on about it being grown up and about these being at the peak. You know, these people know all this stuff already, so they wouldn't have to linger on these things, and they wouldn't have to talk to each other and explain how things work. They're not.
But they've
done all
these things.
Yes, I think they were breadcrumbs for future trades.
Yeah,
there definitely has to be a hotel trade, which is literally just, you know, a day in the hotel, and it's just
side stories.
You just go through different doors. Yeah.
So
be fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
We need to get Mark Miller on the so cool. We need to get Mark Miller on the blower here, because again, as every week, we've got some great ideas these guys should implement. Because you're right, I would like to see more of it, but at the same time, there's a fine line between show us everything and linger on it, and do you know what I mean? Like, just give us a snapshot and make us wanting more. And I think I get the impression, certainly, as the volumes go on, they're going to have like drip more stuff into it. Maybe we'll get an expansion of, like, say, the hotel, especially. 100%. Sonic's Comics is asking, why is there no hardcover of this yet? It's Volume 2's only just come out. Volume 3 is currently coming in single issues. I believe Mark Millar has said it is a 5-volume story.
Ooh.
So in a couple of years' time, get the 5 volumes out, and we will have a glorious hardcover. But yeah, I'll be getting that myself.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, is there anything else you want to bring up? I think that's, we've
For me,
gushed
I'm
it
good. Yeah.
Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say this is what Justice League Dark should be, because like Cordelia is clearly like Zatanna, and then Regan is John Constantine because he's always got a fag in his mouth. Cigarette for our American listeners. But yeah, they very much reminded me, and like their relationship as well. I know it's brother and sister in this, but Zatanna and John Constantine are very, very like buddy. So it like they bounced off each other really well. I really like that relationship as well, the brother-sister relationship between them.
Yeah, they're really cool. Because she was obviously the disobedient one, kind of the family, dare I say it, fuck up, essentially. But
Lucky
of course,
she was at it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the reason why they're all back. They're all alive, apart from obviously Gabriel, but sure, So, folks, that is our thoughts on the Magic Order. It's 10s all around. Thanks for coming. See you next week. No, this is your chance. Yeah, this is your chance to get your scores in. Drop into the chat. Tell us why. We'll create those scores, add them of ours, and we'll come up with the overall average of this book. So, final thoughts on scores, Shane.
Okay, so I love this book. I love magic and wizards and witches and all this, but I like grown-up versions. This is why I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I prefer adults doing magic. I like a more sensible person doing magic. I don't want to see people learning magic. I want to see people doing magic. This is why I love Charmed, and I love, like all magic shows. But the Magicians is what this reminded me of. A group of adults. I know they're kids, they're young adults in Magicians. They grow up as you follow the series. But it's adults doing magic to save either the world or each other. And I really love that. Love the characters. Cordelia is amazing. She just needs to be everywhere. I want all 5 volumes, and I want them now. As long as she's in them, she needs to be in every single one of them, and I will carry on reading. The brother is great. Nice little way to introduce a gay character without throwing it in your face and having him be flamboyant. He's just like, she's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm texting my boyfriend, telling him I love him in case I don't make it home. That's how you do it. That's how you have your gay character without him, wearing pink and, dancing around like a ballerina in your issues. Great. The dad was also pretty cool. That fight he had, awesome. I know he didn't win, but he was still awesome. Art is fantastic. Minor nitpicks. And I'm not going to score it down for the nitpicks because I love the book so much. This is a 10 from me.
A 10?
I can't fault it. I absolutely loved it from start to finish. And then my tiny nitpicks, like 3 faces weren't great in the book. So what? You drew the entire book. It's great.
Wow.
I'm not going to downgrade you for that. And because I figured out the twist in issue 3, I'm not going to... It's not your fault I figured it out. That's my fault.
Are you taking the mickey? Is this a 10?
No, it's 100% a 10.
Wow. Do you were the one I was worried with the most? And,
I love this.
Wow.
Can I hit my score?
Yeah. 9.5. Scott, go ahead. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't count on 2 hands how many times I've said in this show, I loved it. It's cool. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's stunning. It's a very, very great book. If you like magic, and like Shane said, if you like grown-up stuff, if you don't like the whole Harry Potter, vibe of learning things, you will love this book. It's fantastic. It's mature, but not in a crude way, and it's just so brilliant, so clever. Unfortunately, it's not a perfect score for me. The only thing that does drag it down is the fact that the whole world building was too quickly paced for me, and I just did want more of that. I wanted them to linger on things. I wanted to see more of that. So yeah, it's not going to be a 10 for me. It's going to be a 9 instead.
Nice.
Still love this book.
Still.
I want more. It's an absolutely fantastic concept and series, and I hope it carries on with the same vibe.
Nice. Well, folks, we only have one score so far in the chat, so you've got to be 30 seconds before I give mine, if you want yours included. As I mentioned before, I probably have a kind of unhealthy bias towards this book. Like I said, it stuck with me for the 4 years. I thought it was wonderful then. I thought it was wonderful now. There are a few nitpicks. I'll agree. It's not completely perfect. So I feel bad for myself that I'm scoring it less than Shane, but I am. As I said before, I was holding off selecting this for the Nerd Herd, because I actually wanted to pick it when Dean was here as well, because I know he would quite like that kind of thriller aspect. I knew Shane would like Cordelia from the off. I just knew it. It was written in the stars. And again, Scott, I knew would like the fantasy element of it, and I'm just really pleased that you guys obviously love it, and as much as I did. And
More apparently.
Yeah, supposedly, but no, I just think again, the only negativity for me around the kind of book, I suppose, is the delay from volume 1 to 2, because it really annoyed me. Even though it's not anything about the story in itself, it's just like, give me more of it, and I want more of it. Volume 2's out, Volume 3's coming out. Hopefully 4 and 5 isn't too far behind, and we can enjoy a complete story, and then watch it, hopefully, on Netflix, as good as the story is. So I'm giving it a 9.5, because I was going to give it a 9, but this chat's maybe put me in a really good mood tonight. 9.5 from me. There we go. So yeah, that's 9.5 from me, 9 from Scott, and a 10 from Shane. I'm still flabbergasted, completely flabbergasted.
Well, my score went up. I did have it at a 9.5, but talking about it just made me realise how much more I loved it.
And actually, I just wanted to bring up one point, because you mentioned Regan and how cool he was. We never mentioned it. The scene where the guy was like turned into a candle and was melting away, and then Regan just kicked him in the face. Have done with you. That was brilliant. That's again, that's just so good. I loved it. So we have 2 scores in the chat. Sorry, just bear with me. Connie I'm going to give this a 9.5. Honestly, it's pretty near perfect in her opinion. And Sonic's Barton from Sonic's Comics. What a story. I just loved it. Phil, you've ended your season 2 picks on a high note. It's a 9.5 for me. All my picks are great. And funny story, we were having a chat with Martin the other night, and I mentioned the Magic Order. I was like, it's going to get 10s all around. He goes, no, it won't get that. He was adamant it won't get that. And I suppose he's right. It hasn't got 10s all around, but 9.5
Close enough.
Close enough.
So, scores are in with my 9.5, Scott's 9, Shane's 10, and sorry, I'll start again. With Connie's 9.5 and with Martin's 9.5, that's an average from the herd of 9.5. With that, with my 9.5, Scott's 9 and Shane's 10, that gives us an overall average of 9.5.
Hey.
Yes.
So, I wonder where that comes in the top 10. Let's just find out.
Does it make the top 10?
Takes the top spot.
That's the old one, mate.
Order. Yeah, is it?
That's
that's
the old
got the
leaderboard.
Christmas
Oh,
ones
it
on
is. Oh, yeah. So it is. So apologies. There we go.
There we go.
Takes the top spot. Brilliant. Yeah.
Wow.
Last pick of the season. Old Philly swoops in. Already had top spot, but I'll swoop it and take it off myself and leave me more big-headed and have an even bigger ego. I'll turn to be too smug about it, because...
But we still have one more opportunity for it to be bumped off.
Yes.
We do.
You at home can knock Phil off the top spot if you pick a really good book.
But you have to pick a really good book. So this is your chance. Guys, fire in your picks into the comments. Scott, are you going to do the honors of the spinny wheel thing? We'll put your picks in, see who wins, and then you win yourself some Nerd Herd swag and have the honor of picking and being part of the last live show of season 2. So
And it's the last opportunity to get this season's swag as well.
Does that? Oh, what's that mean? Is there going to be new swag?
Ooh, it may be. It may be. Yes, okay. So
got a few picks coming in. I'm just so glad. I'm really flabbergasted, to be honest. I'm really taken back that you guys really enjoyed this. Because I was slightly worried.
Why?
don't know. I just think like it's kind of like yourself with Seven Secrets. You kind of you want to read and talk about it.
Yeah,
You're
like
also worried about
as,
what people will really think.
as much as I enjoy Seven Secrets, it won't get this kind of score. I know that. You know,
Why?
but
Good.
why?
I might really,
'Cause
really
it's
like
not this.
it.
It's not this good. Makes me
Oh.
cry because Tom. It'll make me. It makes me cry because Tom Taylor is a brilliant emotional writer, but it's not as mature and brilliant as this. Anyway, we've got four things so far.
Mature and brilliant, just like me.
That's not describing Phil, by the way.
Oh. And we've got a new commenter giving his pick in there. Hello, Todd reads comics, and Tottenham Gaming is in the chat as well, sweeping in the last second with their picks. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how our leaderboard ends for season 2.
Yeah.
Not just the top 10, but overall, because we've read some really good books this year and some not so good. And
just let everyone know as well. If you were here last year, we will be doing an end of season special. That will be on the Saturday after next Wednesday's show.
The first.
And it's where we talk about the whole season. We talk about our favourite books, our least favourite books. Should we have scored things differently? Shouldn't we have scored things differently? And we'll probably... I'm going to try and talk about some fun stats as well. Like the average score of all of my books and Shane's books and Phil's. And then, our favourite... I want to do my favourite pick overall. My favourite page pick of every page I've picked this season.
Oh my God, can you remember them all? Do you have them all still?
I've got them all saved, yeah. Anyway, we are ready to do our...
I will go through what we have here first of all. So okay. Connie she wants to read Hotel. Go read it. Maybe we'll read it for next week. Yeah, James has picked Lazarus Volume 1. Oh, very good, very good. Sonic's Comics has picked Reckless. Again, another good one. Todd reads comics. Batgirl Silent Runnings. And Tottenham Gaming, Spider-Man Back in Black. That is our picks.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it. Good luck, everyone.
Who's it gonna land?
Fingers crossed for a good one. Fingers crossed for a good one.
Ooh, nice.
What a great book to lead us into our Halloween wave as well.
Yeah. Yes. I believe this is an AWA book, isn't it? A Hotel, I think. So yeah.
I think so, yes.
That'll be really good, interesting read. So well done, Connie. You will, of course, be invited to come on the show next week if you are free and able. And if your internet holds out. And yeah, that's what we're reading next week. It is Hotel for our last episode of season 2. But looking forward to the week after that when it's, I can start to reclaim top spot again for next season. Because I'm going to look forward to the 1st of October when we're going to crown the overall winner, that kind of stuff. But, yeah.
I bet you've got a trophy made up for yourself, haven't you, Phil?
I bet you have.
You guys,
you're gonna.
Do you guys mean you haven't? Have you not made it? But anyway, that's for another time. This has been the Magic Order. Thanks a lot, everyone, for watching and listening. We'll see you next week with Hotel. Get your waves out. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Love you.